Men of few words are the best.
So, you're surrounded. Every move you make feels like a fight for survival. You try to get ahead, but invisible walls just shoot up in front of you. You speak your mind, and you get silence. Or worse, ridicule. It's that subtle, suffocating pressure from a world that's decided you're the problem. Most people fold right here. They shrink. They second-guess themselves. They start begging for approval from the very people trying to hold them down. They get crushed by the criticism and starved for validation. But you're not most people. That feeling of being an outsider, of being a target, that's not a sign that you're weak. Let this sink in. Opposition isn't triggered by your weakness. It's triggered by your potential. Your discipline is an insult to their laziness. Your growth just highlights their stagnation. They don't actually hate you. They hate that you're a mirror reflecting their own failures. It's the classic crab bucket mentality. As soon as one crab tries to climb out, the others pull it right back down. This is where the wisdom of Niccolo Machiavelli stops being a history lesson and becomes a practical guide for winning. When he was exiled from his home, disgraced, and even tortured, he didn't beg. He didn't apologize. He retreated and wrote The Prince, a book that has outlasted every single enemy who wanted him gone. In this guide, we're unpacking 8 ruthless, pragmatic principles from the Machiavellian playbook. These aren't feel-good platitudes. They are psychological weapons for people who are serious about winning. You're going to learn how to turn opposition into your greatest strength, find power where others only see defeat, and secure victory against all odds. Make sure you stay until the end, because the final principle is the one your enemies fear the most. It's the foundation of all real power. Principle 1. Embrace the wolf and the fox. Master the art of deception. A core Machiavellian idea is that a leader must learn how to be both beast and man. Specifically, he must embody 2 animals, the lion and the fox. The lion is powerful. He can scare off the wolves and scatter his enemies with pure strength. But for all his might, the lion isn't smart enough to see the traps laid for him. The fox, on the other hand, is cunning. He can spot a trap a mile away, but doesn't have the strength to fight off a pack of wolves. So, a leader has to be a fox to see the traps, and a lion to scare the wolves. This is the first law of power when you're surrounded. You have to separate appearance from reality. The world doesn't judge you on your intentions. It judges you on what it sees. As Machiavelli noted, everyone sees what you appear to be, but few know who you really are. That's not cynicism, it's strategy. Your reputation is a better weapon than the truth. When everyone's against you, it's because they've already cast you as the villain, the fool, or the threat. Trying to fight that image head-on is a losing battle. You can't argue a perception to death. Instead, you become a master of theater. You learn to be a great pretender. This doesn't mean you become a liar. It means you get ruthlessly pragmatic about the image you project. While you don't actually need to be honest, compassionate, or religious, it's absolutely essential that you appear to be. Think of your public self as a carefully built stage. On that stage, you're merciful, fair, and gracious. You speak the language of morality your enemies expect to hear. This appearance is your shield. It disarms them. They expect a monster, but they see a saint. They prepare for a fight, but you offer a handshake. This gap between what they expect and what they see creates hesitation. And in that hesitation, you win. Meanwhile, behind the curtain, you operate with the cold logic of the fox. You recognize that promises are tools. A wise ruler, Machiavelli argued, shouldn't keep his word when it hurts him to do so. This isn't a license for chaos. It's a recognition of reality. If all men were good, this would be terrible advice. But they aren't. And because they'll break their promises to you, you aren't bound to keep yours to them. When you're isolated, your survival depends on your flexibility, not on a rigid moral code your enemies have already thrown out. Your word is an instrument, not a chain. You give it to build alliances and take it back to prevent your own destruction. Let them be trapped by their codes of honor. You have the freedom of a pragmatist. This is the dual nature you need. To the world, you're the noble, virtuous lion. But in your mind, you're the cunning fox, always watching, always calculating, and never, ever trapped by what other people expect. You don't win by being more moral. You win by being smarter. You control the story, and by controlling the story, you control them. Principle 2. Let them fear you, but never hate you. The calculus of control. One of Machiavelli's most infamous lines is that it's much safer to be feared than to be loved, if you can't be both. People hear that and picture a cruel tyrant ruling through terror, but that's a shallow reading. Machiavelli wasn't a sadist, he was a realist. His insight into fear versus love is a cold, hard calculation about human loyalty. Love, he argued, is held together by gratitude. It's a beautiful, but fragile, basis for power. People love you when things are good and when it serves them. But when things get tough, that bond of love breaks easily. As he put it, men have less hesitation in offending one who is loved than one who is feared. Love is fleeting, but fear is held in place by a dread of punishment that never goes away. When everyone is against you, trying to win their love is a fool's game. You can't nice your way to victory. Their opposition isn't some misunderstanding. It's a choice they've made. Seeking their love just hands them power over your emotions. Fear is a much more reliable currency. But Machiavellian fear isn't about terror. Terror creates hatred, and hatred leads to rebellion. A hated ruler is never safe. People who hate you will conspire against you and take insane risks to see you fall. So, a leader has to inspire fear in a way that, if he doesn't win love, he at least avoids hatred. How do you strike that delicate balance? First, punishment must be justified and decisive. Fear is just respect for a boundary you're known to enforce. When an enemy crosses a line, your response has to be swift and memorable. But it can never look like you're just being cruel. You need to be seen as a stern guardian of order, not a random tyrant. This means you never move against someone without a clear, public reason. Second, to avoid being hated, you must never touch two things: people's property and their honor. Machiavelli warns that men will forget the death of their father sooner than the loss of their inheritance. Taking someone's property, or publicly humiliating them, creates a deep, personal grievance that will never be forgiven. It turns fear into burning hatred. Punish threats to your authority, but leave their personal lives and possessions alone. This lets them fear your power without resenting your rule. Think of yourself as a force of nature. People don't hate gravity for pulling them down. They respect its power and adapt. Your power should be just as impersonal and just as certain. Let them admire your sense of justice while dreading your punishment. When you're surrounded, this principle is your shield. Your enemies are watching, testing you. They expect you to be weak or fly off the handle. Instead, you project calm, unshakable authority. When they cross a line, the consequence is immediate and dispassionate. You don't yell, you don't argue, you simply act. The message becomes clear. There are lines you do not cross. They won't love you for it, but they will respect you. And respect, backed by a healthy fear of consequences, is a much stronger foundation than affection. Principle 3. Become a ghost, the power of unpredictability and mystery. In the game of power, perception is everything. People don't follow power itself. They follow their idea of power. And nothing makes power seem greater than mystery. Machiavelli knew the best way to assert dominance isn't through a direct fight, but through deliberate confusion. When people can predict you, they can prepare for you. But when they can't figure you out, they're forced to be careful. This is the strategy of becoming a ghost. When everyone is against you, your gut tells you to speak up, defend yourself, and broadcast your every move. That's a fatal mistake. Visibility is vulnerability. The more your enemies see and hear from you, the more data they have. They learn your patterns, your triggers, your weaknesses. A leader who's too familiar loses his mystique. The more people see him, the less they fear him. To become a ghost is to strategically withdraw and become unreadable. You move in ways that defy prediction. Today you're merciful, tomorrow you're ruthless. This week, you're visible and chatty. Next week, you're silent and gone. This inconsistency isn't confusion, it's a weapon. It keeps your opponents constantly off balance. They can't form a strategy against you because they don't know who you are. They're stuck reacting, second-guessing, and living in a state of low-grade paranoia. What is he planning? Why did he do that? It makes no sense. While they're lost in this fog, you're free to execute your real plan. Clarity is comfort for them. Mystery is leverage for you. When you're clear, you're a map they can study. When you're a ghost, you're a maze they get lost in. They start to obsess over you, not because you ordered them to, but because their own minds need to solve the puzzle you represent. This obsession gives you control over their most valuable resource, their attention. So how do you become so unpredictable? First, you master your emotions. An emotional person is a predictable person. Their anger can be provoked, their ego flattered, their fear exploited. The ghost appears emotionally detached. Your face is a mask. Your words are tools. Nothing is an accident. Every emotional display is a calculated performance designed to mislead. Second, you embrace strategic distance. Familiarity breeds contempt. Don't be too accessible. Let there be a space between you and everyone else. This distance maintains the illusion of power. Leaders who share all their private struggles are eventually just seen as ordinary. The ghost is never ordinary. He's always just out of reach, a figure of speculation, not a known fact. When everyone's against you, they think they have you cornered. They've put you in a box. The strategy of the ghost is to burn that box to the ground. Let them think you're a pawn, then move like a king. Let them assume you're weak, then strike with force. Let them believe they have you trapped, and then just vanish, only to reappear where they least expect. In the world of power, the most dangerous thing is the one that can't be defined. Be that thing. Principle 4. Wield silence as a weapon. Dominate through restraint. In a world drowning in noise, silence is the ultimate power move. Most people are terrified of it. They rush to fill any quiet space with words, excuses, and nervous chatter. Why? Because the human mind hates uncertainty, and silence is a blank canvas where we project our worst fears. A Machiavellian mind doesn't fear this void. It weaponizes it. When you're attacked or provoked, your instinct is to fire back, to defend your honor, to set the record straight. This is a trap. Your reaction is the exact fuel your opponents need. It validates their attack, proves they got under your skin, and gives them a whole new set of buttons to push. Arguing with an enemy gives them status. Reacting to an insult gives it power. The Machiavellian strategy? Offer them nothing. Just cold, unnerving silence. This isn't passive, it's active dominance. When you refuse to react, a few things happen. First, you starve the fire. Gossip and hatred can't survive without the oxygen of your engagement. By giving them nothing, the fire burns out. Second, you flip the psychological burden. Instead of you dealing with the stress of their attack, now they have to deal with the profound discomfort of your silence. They attack and are met with a calm, unreadable void. They're left alone with the echo of their own aggression. They start to second-guess themselves. Did he even hear me? Why isn't he responding? What does he know that I don't? Paranoia creeps in. They are forced to fill your silence with their own worst-case scenarios, and in their desperate attempts to get a reaction, they'll reveal everything: their motives, their impatience, their desperation. Third, you seize control of time. A reaction is instant. It puts you on your opponent's timeline. A strategic silence, however, forces the world to wait for you. That delay isn't weakness. It's proof that you don't play by their rules. They are now on your timeline. The person who can comfortably endure silence in a confrontation is the one in control. Their composure creates immense pressure, and others will break first just to make it stop. This is why manipulators and bullies hate silence. Their whole game depends on getting a reaction from you that they can then control. When you give them nothing, you become like water. They can't get a grip on you. You become unreadable, unpredictable, and therefore dangerous. Think of your silence as both a shield and a microphone. While your opponent is exhausting themselves and showing their hand, you're just observing. You're gathering intelligence. You're watching them defeat themselves. Your stillness isn't emptiness. It's a state of total awareness. When Machiavelli himself was cast out, he didn't rage against his accusers in public. He retreated to his farm and went silent to the world. And in that quiet, he forged the ideas that would make him immortal. Use this same principle. When they come for you, don't give them the battle they want. Give them the one thing they can't fight: your silence. Let them exhaust themselves against the immovable object of your composure. While they're making noise, you're making moves. Section 5. Principle 5. Administer cruelty. Well, and benefits drop by drop. Timing is everything. A leader has to know not just what to do, but when and how. On this, Machiavelli offers a chillingly brilliant piece of advice. Injuries should be inflicted all at once, so they are tasted less and give less offense. Benefits, on the other hand, should be handed out little by little, so they may be tasted better. Let's break down this ruthless piece of psychological engineering. When you have to take harsh action, what Machiavelli calls cruelties, it has to be like surgery: fast, precise, and over with quickly. Whether it's firing someone, cutting off a toxic friend, or delivering a punishment, these moves must be done decisively and all at once. The reasoning is pure psychology. A series of small, nagging punishments creates constant anxiety and resentment that allows bitterness to grow. A slow bleed is agonizing and inspires a deep, lasting hatred. But a single, powerful blow, though painful at the moment, is over quickly. The shock is great, but the memory fades. People know where they stand. The rules have been brutally but clearly set. Once the necessary cruelty is done, it's over. This allows you to then change your posture, be more lenient, and let things return to normal. The initial shock is remembered, but it isn't constantly relived. Think of it like a thunderstorm. A sudden, violent clap of thunder is terrifying, but it passes. A constant, low rumble for days on end would drive you mad. Be the thunder, not the miserable drizzle. The distribution of rewards follows the exact opposite logic. If you give someone a huge reward all at once, their gratitude is massive, but also short-lived. They enjoy it, the memory fades, and soon they take it for granted and expect more. You've spent all your leverage in one grand gesture. The Machiavellian way is to give out rewards, favors, and praise gradually, drop by drop. Each small benefit is a fresh reminder of your generosity. It keeps the person in a state of hopeful anticipation. They're always looking forward to the next drop, which keeps them loyal and focused on pleasing you. Their gratitude is constantly being renewed, and your power over them holds. This creates a powerful psychological imbalance. They end up thinking about you far more than you think about them. Their mood becomes dependent on your next move. Will you reward them? Will you notice their effort? This slow drip of approval keeps them invested, engaged, and under your control. When you're surrounded, this is how you reshape your environment. The cuts you have to make must be done quickly and without emotion. Get the pain over with. Then, identify potential allies or enemies who are on the fence. Don't try to win them with one big favor. Instead, start the slow drip. A small bit of recognition here, a minor favor there. Let them savor each small victory. You're not buying their loyalty, you're conditioning it. One drop at a time. Principle 6. Understand that fortune is a river, the art of anticipation and adaptation. Machiavelli didn't believe our destiny was entirely in our hands. He saw a powerful, unpredictable force at play that he called fortuna, or fortune. He believed fortune governed about half of our lives, bringing unforeseen floods, disasters, and revolutions. Faced with this overwhelming force, many people just throw up their hands in despair, believing they're helpless. This, Machiavelli argues, is the mindset of the weak. While fortune may abide us and control half of our lives, the other half is governed by what he called virtù, a potent mix of skill, courage, foresight, and adaptability. A leader with virtù doesn't deny fortune's power, he prepares for it. Machiavelli used a powerful analogy. Fortune is like a raging river. When it floods, it's an unstoppable force of destruction. During the flood, there's nothing you can do but run. However, a wise person doesn't wait for the flood. During calm times, he builds dams, dikes, and channels. He prepares his defenses. Then, when the river of fortune inevitably rages again, its destructive power is either contained or channeled in a direction that helps him. This is the art of anticipation. Most people are purely reactive. They only deal with problems when they're already a crisis. The Machiavellian mind is always thinking several moves ahead. He looks at the present calm and asks, where could the future flood come from? He spots potential threats and weaknesses long before they blow up. If everyone is against you, it's often a sign you failed to anticipate. You let the opposition gather strength while the waters were calm. But it's never too late to start building your defenses. This means shifting from a reactive to a proactive mindset. Stop putting out today's fires and start building the fire breaks for tomorrow. This also demands radical adaptability. A rigid plan is a brittle plan. It will shatter at the first unexpected wave. Your strategy has to be fluid. You must be willing to abandon a course of action that's no longer working, even if it means breaking old promises. Remember the fox. He isn't bound to a single path. He changes his route to avoid the snares. Your enemies are often rigid. They're bound by their pride, their ideology, or a fixed plan. This is their weakness. Your strength is your formlessness. You're the water that flows around obstacles. You're the strategist who changes the plan the moment the battlefield shifts. To win when you're surrounded, you master both preparation and improvisation. In times of peace, you are the engineer, building your defenses and studying the terrain. But when the storm hits, you become the sailor, adapting to the violent waves, using the wind, and steering your ship through the chaos. Don't let fortune be your master. Confront her with so much virtue that she has no choice but to work with you. Principle 7. Isolate your enemies. The strategy of divide and conquer. A group united against you is a solid wall. Attacking it head-on is a great way to exhaust yourself and get destroyed. A wise leader, Machiavelli taught, doesn't fight a united front. He dismantles it, piece by piece from the inside. This is the timeless and brutal strategy of divide et impera, divide and conquer. Your opposition only looks like a monolith. In reality, it's just a collection of individuals, each with their own fears, ambitions, and conflicting self-interests. Your job isn't to defeat the group, but to exploit the cracks in its foundation until it collapses under its own weight. First, stop seeing them as they, and start seeing them as individuals. Study each one. Who's the most ambitious? Who's the most insecure? Who feels undervalued? Who secretly can't stand the person next to them? This information is your ammunition. Once you've found the fault lines, you can get to work. The goal is to sow suspicion and paranoia, turning your enemies against each other. You do this not with open attacks, but with subtle whispers, carefully placed information, and selective favors. For example, single out the weakest member of the group. Offer them a small token of recognition, a hint of some private advantage. Don't ask for anything back, just plant the seed. The others will see it and wonder, why him? What's he plotting with the enemy? The target of your favor will be flattered and start to see his own interests as separate from the group's. The first crack has appeared. Next, you can feed them information that highlights their conflicts. If two of your opponents are competing for the same thing, you might subtly praise one in front of the other. Or you might, accidentally, let something slip that makes one think the other is working against them. You're not creating the conflict. You're just shining a spotlight on the conflict that was already there. You're the catalyst that speeds up the decay of their alliance. Machiavelli advised rulers to let the factions in their state compete with each other. This internal rivalry kept them busy and prevented them from ever uniting against the ruler. You must do the same. Encourage the rivalries within the opposition. Let them fight over status and credit. While they're busy tearing each other down, they have no energy left to attack you. All the while, you must stay above it all, appearing as an impartial, even benevolent figure. You become the source of stability they all want to win over. Soon, they stop watching you and start watching each other. Paranoia becomes their new compass. This is a quiet, patient, and devastatingly effective strategy. You don't win by raising your sword. You win by letting your enemies draw their swords on each other. You don't break down the wall. You just find the loose bricks and gently pull them out until the whole thing comes crashing down. While they're buried in the rubble of their own mistrust, you walk away without a scratch. Principle 8. Master your inner citadel, the foundation of all power. We've arrived at the final principle, the keystone that holds the entire arch of Machiavellian power together. All the strategies we've discussed, deception, fear, unpredictability, silence, timing, adaptation, division, are all useless without this one thing: control over yourself. The most dangerous person in any room is never the loudest or the most aggressive. It's the most disciplined. He's unattached, perceptive, and calm under pressure. He's impossible to read. This is the person who has conquered his own inner world, and as a result, the outer world has to bend to his will. This is the master of the inner citadel. Your emotions are your greatest weakness. Your need for approval, your fear of criticism, your impulsive anger. These are the strings your enemies will use to turn you into a puppet. The moment they can predict your emotional reaction, they own you. If an insult makes you angry, they'll insult you to make you reckless. If flattery makes you compliant, they'll flatter you to make you careless. To win when everyone is against you, you first have to win the war against yourself. You must build an inner citadel, a fortress inside your own mind that no external attack can breach. This means cultivating profound emotional discipline. You never show your true feelings unless it's a deliberate, strategic choice. Any other emotional leak is a surrender of power. This is the source of all the other principles. That you can't use silence as a weapon if you're screaming on the inside. You can't be a ghost if your impulses are driving your every move. You can't inspire calculated fear if your own anger makes you sloppy and cruel. The person who has mastered their inner citadel is truly untouchable. They are willing to walk away from anything or anyone that threatens their inner peace and their goals. This detachment is their ultimate leverage. When you need nothing from your enemies, not their approval, not their validation, not their love. Their power over you simply evaporates. You become sovereign. This self-mastery is forged in isolation. When you're abandoned and opposed, you are given a rare gift: the chance to stop looking outside for validation and start building your power from within. You are forced to rely on your own spine. This is an initiation. Life is asking you one question: do you believe in yourself enough to stand alone? Most people say no. They run back to the herd and are forgotten. But you will say yes. You will use the silence and the opposition as a forge. You will study the game while they're distracted. You will build a fortress so high, their arrows can't reach you. If this suppressed knowledge resonates with you, if you feel the call to rise above the noise and reclaim your power, then this is your community. Subscribe and join the minds who refuse to be governed by the herd. This isn't for everyone. Most won't join. That's the point. Comment "I am the architect" below to declare your path. The strategies of Machiavelli are not a path to being liked. They are a blueprint for being respected, for being effective, and for winning. The journey to power when you're alone isn't a tragedy. It's an initiation. You have learned to be the fox and the lion, to wield fear as a tool, to become a ghost, to dominate with silence, to time your strikes with precision, to adapt to fortune, and to dismantle the forces against you. But above all, you have learned that all external power is born from internal mastery. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the architect of your victory. One day, you will look down from the fortress you've built, and the people who doubted you, who mocked you, who betrayed you, they will look very, very small. You won't feel anger or the need for revenge. You will just feel the quiet, unshakable certainty of your own power. Power isn't proven by how loud you shout, but by how silently you rise.